And we wanted to take a closer look at the term deep state. It's bandied around. Donald Trump has vowed to obliterate it, and Ron DeSantis has copied that too. Rebecca Gordon is a philosophy professor at the University of San Francisco and has written about deep state and joins us now. Hello, Rebecca.
Hello, it's good to be here.
It's nice for you to come on the programme. How would you define deep state in America? And is it a term that America can actually claim as its own?
That's a very good question. Actually, deep state, as the Trump administration developed it, is used in a way that's very different from its original meaning. What Donald Trump's first, and I hope only administration meant by the deep state was actually those parts of our own government that, based on our division of powers within the government, were in any way preventing him from doing whatever his agenda was at the time. So if a federal court blocked something that Donald Trump wanted to do, for example, exclude all Muslims from entering the United States, that was an example to him of the deep state at work. In a larger sense for him, the deep state was that ongoing civil service bureaucracy, which exists from administration to administration, which is non-political and technical, really, in its nature, that allows the work of government to go on. This is not at all what deep state has meant historically. Historically, the term actually originates in Turkey at the end of the Ottoman Empire. So we're talking about the beginning of the 20th century. And what it referred to was a network of shadowy powers that were existing in parallel to the legitimate state. And they were mostly gangsters, narcotics traffickers, but there was an interpenetration between these powers and the power of the state itself. A modern day example of that might be actually what we see in Mexico, where again, there is this tremendous parallel power of drug cartels that exists in parallel to the Mexican government, but also interpenetrated, where people who are essentially loyal primarily to the cartels have very important, powerful positions in the Mexican government.
Does Joe Biden ever refer to deep state?
No, this is not an expression that he uses. Joe Biden accepts the idea that there is a division of powers within the United States government. This is a model, by the way, that goes all the way back to your John Locke and to Britain, the idea that with a separation of powers, there are countervailing forces, the legislative, the executive, and the courts, the judicial, and that each provides a check and a balance on the others. So for Joe Biden, the deep state is not a problem. For Donald Trump, anything that seemed to him to stymie in any way his desires for action, for really action by fiat, for action as an absolute monarch or a dictator, for him that represents the deep state. And I should say that he and his campaign have indicated that they have a plan when they come into office, if they win again in 2024, which God forbid, in which they will take many of the now classified non-political appointments that are jobs that people acquire by taking civil service exams, by demonstrating their capacities, and turn those into political appointments. His idea is to politicize the entire bureaucratic structure of the United States government so that it exists as an instrument to do his will.
Yeah. I'm sorry that we don't have longer, Rebecca. One final thought from you, and brief,
Yes.
if you may. Deep state is a term that has been really helped by its fictional personification, hasn't it? It is used in films, it is used in books, it is used in drama. That's how most of us know it.
Right. I think that's absolutely true. And in fact, this is why it has so much power when Donald Trump or his campaign deploys it, when the Republican Party deploys it, because we have seen it in fiction. If there is a deep state in the US, I would say it's what our president Dwight Eisenhower referred to at the end of his term in the 50s as the military industrial complex, that complex of industry and military that in so many ways guides US policy. If there's a deep state in this country, I'd say that's what it is.
Rebecca, really fascinating stuff. Thank you very much indeed. Rebecca Gordon is a philosophy professor at the University of San Francisco, and I don't think she's voting Republican, Jane.
I got that impression.
Did you get a whiff?
I did get. I got quite a whiff, but that was really interesting.
Really interesting.